Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba,
because of whom I'm here today and because of whom I'm able to speak to you about this topic of sadhana. And I will share with you my experiences of my journey with the Divine Master. So, what does sadhana mean? If you do a literal translation of the word sadhana, then it means that it's a disciplined and dedicated effort of learning or acquiring some knowledge, mostly used in the context of spirituality, religion, music. That's what sadhana really means. So the two words that really stand out are discipline. Second is dedication. Okay? Now, the other thing we also need to know and understand when we talk about sadhana is what is the goal of our sadhana? Because if there is no goal, then that sadhana can be scattered. So, our sadhana must have a target, a goal, and therefore, around that goal, we should have a disciplined and a dedicated effort, full of devotion. So, what is this goal of life? What is this goal for which we are wanting to do sadhana, for which we are all together today? And this goal was very simply put by my master when I met him. And he said, "You and I are one." And every time that he connected with me in the dreams or physically, he would only say one thing to me: "You and I are one." And rest of the journey of the last 16 years have been a dedicated and sometimes less disciplined, but surely extremely dedicated effort to experience that message of the Master. And as I progressed in this journey, I realized that in that very simple message, you and I are one. 5 words. He gave the message of the Upanishads. He gave the message of the goal of life, where he said that our goal of every sadhana, of coming to a divine master, is to experience that divinity, that God, that divine consciousness, that purity which the divine stands for inside us, within us. And it took time to understand this, to process this, to figure out the power of those 5 words. So simply put. In fact, that's one thing that attracted me to my master, to my guru, was the sheer simplicity with which he puts across the most complex of things given in hundreds and hundreds and thousands of pages of Upanishads. He realized that in me was a real dumb guy who would not understand and who wouldn't have the patience to go through so much of literature. He said, let's make it very simple so that he can at least nibble on it, do manana on it, digest it, and maybe one day implement it. And this ability to be able to take the message of the Master and live that message of the Master in your life is what sadhana is all about. Because any master comes amidst all of us for a short period of time. Because our human bodies are mortal. But there is something enshrined in these bodies which is immortal. Which is not the name, which is not the form, which is the message that this name and form brings to us. And so too, he inspired me from within because of the sheer simplicity of his message, because of the sheer love this master evoked in me, that I decided that whatever happens, no matter what the consequences are, no matter what it takes, my life will be the message of my master. And the message, as I said, was so simple. And I thought it's going to be really easy. How difficult could it be when a divine being, the creator of this cosmos, says that you and I are one, and then started an incredible journey of sadhana. I've given you the timeline. 2007, 29th of March was the first day when I set eyes physically, not in a picture, but physically I saw him for the first time in Puttaparthi. And from that time onwards, it was love at first sight. I fell head over heels in love with my master, and I never became a devotee of my guru. So whenever people talk about big devotees, I exclude myself from that category because that's a very tough category. I invented my own category. I told you, I was always naughty. I always wanted to find a little shortcuts, not knowing that this shortcut is going to take me on a long road. But however, the category that I chose for myself and through which I entered very quickly was that of a lover. There was a board which said, for lovers only. And I saw that no one was standing outside that book, that entrance. Everybody was queuing up, huge, massive line for devotees only. And I entered through into the hearts of my divine Lord through the category of a lover. And you guys are all far more intelligent and knowledgeable than I am, because you can chant so many mantras. You've had the great fortune of knowing all this. But he cut me out of that also. And he taught me only one mantra. And that mantra, can you guess it? One is called love. Remember, what do lovers say to each other? They say, I love you. And that is where my entire sadhana started. Because that's all I could see. When I would see him, I would just forget everything. And all that I would say, I love you, 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 I love you. And this intense journey to experience the God within started and continued and has remained with only one mantra. I'm sorry, I just couldn't understand the Vedas. I just couldn't understand Bhagavad Gita. I just understood and experienced only one thing, and that's love and love. And that I found was enough. It was like somebody had given you the Guru Mantra, right? And for lazy people like me, they always have a shortcut, right? And I just caught on to that because it appealed to me. I realized no intellect was required, no oratory skills were required, no memory was required to grasp those big shlokas, understand them, interpret them, show to everybody how intelligent you are, how much knowledge you have. He avoided me from all those traps. And the entire journey took me into a very beautiful understanding of what the Master was saying, which is why we are all here. We are here because we all got attracted to the teachings of the Master. And each one of us is trying to do a sadhana, a dedicated, disciplined effort to that goal of experiencing the God within us, or self-realization, or Atma Sakshatkara, or Aham Brahmasmi. So somebody asked me yesterday, can you please introduce yourself? Can you please give your biodata? Can you please, this is how we would like to introduce you. I said, what do I have to share with you? My past does not belong to me. My past is history. Why do I keep hankering about what I was? What I am today is I am. I am that unlimited, infinite consciousness. I live in that consciousness. I breathe that consciousness. I'm one with that consciousness. But that's a definition when I give all of you, you don't like. You say, no, sir, but there should be something else that we should introduce you as. Right? That's how the mind works. It is used to a structured, processed way of doing things. But consciousness doesn't know any of these rules. That divine consciousness just flows when you become one with it. When you tap that higher frequency where this consciousness operates, there is no mind left. There is no thinking left. I don't have to prepare what I'm going to talk to you because there is only one thing that speaks. It is pure consciousness. I will give you today a direct experience by the end of it. And you will not just understand my words. You will experience it in your hearts. Now, in this journey of sadhana, there was one very simple thing I learned, and I'm going to share with you that if you can implement that in your life, and if you can only do this practice, one simple practice, and we'll talk about it, why I say simple, because some of you may think it's very difficult. But to my mind, the surest, the simplest, easiest, and definitely which is going to give you the desired experience of one consciousness, has been put very simply as three Karan Shuddhi. Three means three. Karan is your unity of your thoughts, words, and deeds. Shuddhi means purity. So, which means once we make our thoughts pure, and we start becoming one with those thoughts, that means that we start either writing or speaking those thoughts, what's in our mind. And we have then the courage to actually put them into practice in our life. Right? Because we operate out of our mind. Therefore, in this world, all the suffering is because of the lack of three Karan Shuddhi. Because we think one thing, we say something else, and we do an entirely different thing. That's the only reason why there is conflict and the problems in the world. It's because of this very simple understanding of where we all get out of this path of sadhana and how it is very simple to follow this path of sadhana. Right? So if the goal is clear, everybody is clear on the goal of sadhana? To experience the divine consciousness, to experience that God within is the goal of our sadhana. Right? And the path to be followed, which requires discipline and dedication, is to first purify our thoughts. Because everything in this universe starts with our thoughts. The whole bija or the seed of what occurs and manifests in this life comes from the thought. And this thought has the ability to bloom into a big tree. It grows into a plant grows into a tree, and a tree grows into a forest. Right? Now, what plant are we going to harvest and cultivate, and what plant is going to grow into a tree? The seed is in the thought. And so therefore, that is where all the law of karma operates. All karma start at the point of thought. That's the bija. And so if we have to do sadhana, because the path we are laying is of three Karan Shuddhi, then we need to go to the starting point. Because from that is where everything is beginning. And that is where Shuddhi needs to come. The Shuddhi has to be in our thoughts. That means purify our thoughts. Purifying. What does purifying your thoughts mean? Put it under a filter. Put it through some machine. What does purification of thoughts means? I did a lot of manana of what purity really means. What is this purity that we are seeking of? Chitta Shuddhi. We talk about that. What is that? As usual, my master taught me to think simply, to figure out something that works for you. And I found that purity comes when our actions or our thoughts are spurred by the good for all, for the higher good, not for my own good, not for my limited I-ness. When I start to expand my thinking, and when I start to go beyond my limited boundaries of my own selfish needs, when my thoughts start to go to a point where the thoughts are spurred for the higher good of all, that's the test. And it is known only to you. No one can read your thoughts because they are yours. Nobody can evaluate you on your thoughts. You can be evaluated on your actions, but you can never be evaluated on your thoughts. It's personal, it's private, it's yours. So, this whole sadhana, this whole affair is between you and yourself. Because actually, in this whole of creation, there is no other that exists. You follow the simple path that I am sharing with you. I guarantee you that you will experience that there is no other that exists in this consciousness. Because what is inside of you, what is inside of me, what is inside of everybody is the same one consciousness, which is our goal. So when you reach Aham Brahma, you do not have to make an effort to see Sarvam Brahma. It's a logical, absolute byproduct of experiencing the consciousness within. Because you cannot reach that state of experiencing that one consciousness when you are not able to see the divine in others. It's a logical corollary. It's a logical conclusion. And that is why, if you look at it, our master very beautifully put this. He said, love all, serve all. He didn't say serve all and love all. Because true serving of everyone, all, can only happen when you can love them. You can do pockets of service. But the real service for all, actually, it's easier to serve strangers. It's very difficult to, serve the people you don't like. Very difficult. Because you find, oh, they are like that, the judgments, the labels, the opinions, all that comes in. So, we can't serve all. Because we don't love all. And actually, if you go behind that, if I were to actually make it even more simpler for you, take one step backwards. The first step is love yourself. Because before you can love all, you must love yourself as you are at this point, with all your so-called imperfections. Whatever you may think, we need to first start loving ourselves, because actually this consciousness that we are trying to experience is pure love. Remember Baba, pure love? Sadguru, pure love? And if they are one with me, then I am also pure love. How can I love anyone when I can't even love myself? So, this love, which is the truth of ourselves, when it comes forward, then everything happens by itself. Because this consciousness, this love, knows everything that needs to be done. It is supremely intelligent. It knows everything, because that's how everything's been created. And to love our own selves as we are, we need Shuddhi, purity. three, Karan, Shuddhi. So Shuddhi of your thoughts. When you start operating out of that purity of your thoughts is when that love, that consciousness, which is who you truly are, starts to get triggered inside of you. It starts to get activated. That small seed starts to sprout, right? And as you keep purifying your thoughts, the small ankur, the small shoot starts to become a big plant. Right? Look at these beautiful students here. I've taught them. I was with them 2-3 years back, 4 years back. Oh, it's been 5 years here, so many years back. And look at them. They were like seeds at that time. Right? And now when I meet them and I see them, the way they conduct themselves, the work they are doing, they're rapidly becoming big plants. And soon, each one of you is going to grow into a tree, which is going to give shade to many, many more who want to follow this journey and who want to do sadhana. And that reminds me, I'm just sidetracking a little bit, of something that happened between me and my guru. So, ever since Baba left his physical form, because his message to me was, you and I are one, I started to experience the presence of Baba with me and in me when he left his body. And I started to feel his presence with me at all times. So for me, it became a very intimate relationship, because now I did not have to run to Puttaparthi. I used to go every month. For 2 years, every month I used to go to Puttaparthi. And I didn't need to go anywhere because I was getting that experience of his presence. And so, as the time progressed, this relationship became even more intimate. The experiences were beautiful. I started to know things. I started to, see the change in me. How my sadhana was on its own progressing just by the experience of the presence of the Master. And therefore, my relationship with all forms ended. I used to have a prayer room in my home where there were pictures and idols. There was a Shirdi Baba statue, and there were pictures of Sathya Sai Baba in every wall in my whole home. It was full of pictures of Baba. And I had all gods, goddesses pictures. And on some picture there was Vibhuti had come, on some picture Amritam had come. We get attached to all that. But one day, when the realization came that my Master is in me, not with me, because with me he's outside of me. And he's always available to me. And that the Master clearly said that I have taken form, the formless principle, have taken form only to come and tell you that I am formless. So the consciousness takes form. All of us are manifestations of consciousness. But the Supreme Consciousness comes to tell us that its truth, its real nature is formlessness. That was a message that was very clear in me. I was experiencing him. I was experiencing that formless principle inside of me. And I said, if that is true, I cannot be living in two boats. I go and pray here all the time, and then I keep experiencing this. I realized I was like a man in two boats. One leg in one boat, one in duality, one leg in Advaita. And sometimes I would fall flat on my face because Out of habit, I would go into duality. And out of knowledge and wisdom, I would go into Advait. And I pretty much would get confused. And I would do a lot of manana. One thing that I can share with you is this manana is what transformed me was constant manana. And I'll share an example with you for that. But just completing this point, that I decided that if my experiences and my understanding is taking me into the one consciousness principle and I am experiencing it, then I cannot continue to do what I have been doing in the past. Right? Because remember, we are all growing, we are all evolving. If we continue to do what we are doing, I'm telling you about something very logical. If we continue to do what we are doing, we'll continue to remain where we have reached. Right? So, if you want to go a little further, you have to do something different. Logical? So, I realized if this is what I have understood, then I need to change my gear. And all my thoughts, words, and action has to be aligned to this truth that God is formless. And that formless principle is within me, and I have come to experience this formlessness. And when that realization dawned upon me that I need to make some changes, that day I took off all the pictures from my house. I said, Baba, it's all coming from you. You are with me everywhere. I see you now inside me. I see you as me. And I called the priest of a local temple, who was also a Baba devotee. He was making his own home and he had created a temple in his home. And I said, if you will keep them with you and you will pray to these, I would like to give it to you. And I had a big temple. And so that one day, the entire temple was given away. And I decided that this is the path that I have chosen. I'm sharing with you my experience. And by that one act, in the consciousness, I said, I am that one principle, I am that one consciousness. And I, from this moment, will live my life in that one consciousness. That started to manifest amazing changes in my life. Because now, I had taken a call. I had changed the blueprint of my life. And I had decided for myself that I am going to live the ultimate teaching of my master. And I am going to be one with him, not only when I do bhajans, not only when I do sadhana or meditation, not only when I do seva, but I am going to be one with him at all times. Because there is nothing else that exists. And slowly I started to see that he started to tap through me. I started to experience, I started to write, I started to do blogs. These blogs contain everything about Vedanta without using a single word of Vedanta. I started to conduct sessions for people. He had told me, I'll speak through you. And many things started to happen. I started to do videos, I started to do meditation sessions. And things started to happen by my not trying to do anything. I do not put any effort in anything because He's made me come to a point where my thoughts and my words and my actions are synchronized at all times. And to see sadhana that I have done diligently, dedicatedly, relentlessly, without a break. This is who I am. I don't have to sit and say, I'm doing sadhana. Close my eyes, sadhana is happening. No. Sadhana starts with closing your eyes. But sadhana cannot be a part time job. It cannot be morning 4 o'clock, time for sadhana, night 9 o'clock, time for sadhana. Then it is going to be only slowly, gradually. But if this can become a way of your life, and if you can discriminate, if you can start to put all your awareness in your thoughts, at the time when the thought hits you, any thought that hits you, that's the time